Thank you very much. You're
Good
amazing.
morning to all of our small little group this morning. First
Yeah.
and foremost, Tiffany, this is for
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Oh, the view. Yes, the view. Every morning I get to start my day with that view. Is look at just how beautiful that water is, guys. I also use that as motivation. I need a view like Claire.
It's
So
like
every time
class.
that she shows me that view, I'm like, I gotta work harder, reach my goals so I can have a view like Claire.
So this is what we're going to be talking about today. And forgive me, I have a little raspy voice. I'm recovering from some kind of something that is going
Ooh.
around. So here we go. Um, I did text Deep and Liz to be on the call today because they are consistent in what they do and they do it to a great level. And I want us to ask ourselves and in our businesses, because we're going to dive really deep today into our businesses so far as what is holding us back from making our care calls, from touching our sphere of influence, since we all know that we receive 40 to 45% or more return on investment when we're making these calls to our people, because our people love us. So it's not about paid leads, because as we're going into 2023, if you have been listening to Tom Martin and all of his business planning and what you need to take out of your business in order to keep going in 2023 to make your revenue stream still stay the same, sometimes we have to cut some expenses. So for some of us, that may be a marketing issue or a paid platform that we pay for leads or something like that. And Deep and Liz have phenomenal ways that they keep in touch with their people, as well do I, because I pick up the phone every day and call my people and just do care calls this time of year. What can you do to help them? So I wanted them to share some of their success and want y'all to share these successes with our group, like we're in the kitchen, not the living room superficial. We're going to dive deep in what is working and what isn't. And if making your calls or even starting to make your calls has been difficult, let's share with each other, because we've all been through that. That phone, which only weighs a few ounces, sometimes feels like a few tons, because our mindset is kind of in scarcity, which mindset was talked about yesterday with Miss Fred. So let's really find what we can do in those subtle corrections to do what we need to do to thrive in 2023. So go ahead and start blowing up the chat, or raise your hand, take yourself off mute. Tiffany has got to do the kids run to the schools. So I hope that she made me host before she left. So let's see. Oh, she did. She made me co-host. So that way it's all good. So what have we got going on? Nobody's blowing up the chat. Y'all crack me up. Y'all crack me up. Deep, go ahead.
Claire, I think it's a little too early for everybody. Everybody's already in the holiday spirit. That's why they're not blowing up the chat. But I hope we can get them going. I hope I don't get cut off. I'm driving, heading to the office, a little behind this morning. Looks like we are coordinated outfits today, so I like that. We look matching. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we
Are
can
you
hear
there?
you, Deep. We can hear you.
Perfect. I think this time of the year, I think these are the great habits you can put together, especially when you thank people, family members, and your past clients or your new clients that you're working with. It's all about telling them thank you, really appreciate you a lot. That conversation today happens with these conversations going to make it much easier for you. And this is going to become more easier as
Hey, Deep.
monthly.
Deep, you're breaking up really bad. Your reception is terrible. Goodness gracious. Thank goodness
Can you
for
hear me now?
technology. Yes, 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 we can.
Sorry. So what I was saying is, I think this is the perfect time of the year that they can start calling people, just appreciating, thanking them for using them, helping them with the purchase they did. And this is going to create some kind of habits towards those goals when you implement for next year, right? When we're going to talk about it, oh, did you make your calls on January? Then you're going to make sure, hey, how was your holidays? Become the conversation piece. Oh, the kids are back to school. He's like, I'm horrible at this too. It's surprising me how bad I am and amount of referrals me and Alina get. But I think we touch the client so much in the process when they are in the process to a level that the trust is there. Like, just to give you an example, we had a situation yesterday, and the client closed on the deal a year ago, and she's having some problems with association, and it's been happening a couple of months over and over, and we got involved and took care of it. You think she's gonna remember? She's gonna remember that because nobody else could do that. She was working with some other agent, and the agent won't even call her back because the deal is done. But we did a different deal, and we still kept in touch. And then just share how much you care and how much you love them. It's very simple, guys. It's not. We make this difficult for ourselves, but I say I have the same issue. Claire's great at this, calling and checking on people. I'm horrible at it. But it's the same challenge everybody has. I don't care how successful they are, how many transactions they're doing. We intend to. Claire put it very simply. The phone feels like a 2-ton product. It's like, oh my God, I can't lift this. I just went to the gym, but this phone's too heavy for me. So you got to do the uncomfortable stuff to get great results. And in the long run, it's only going to help you and make it easier for you.
Yes, it is deep. And while you have been talking, the chat has blown up. So let's go over a few of those things as other people are popping on too. So here's what's interesting is what is our mindset on cold calls and what is our mindset on warm calls? Just to let you know, any call to your sphere of influence is a warm call. Okay. Any call like a cold lead or a paid for lead or a paid online lead like Zillow, whatever, that's a cold call. So if we're looking at that and you have not, for example, been in touch with some of the people in your sphere, and it's been a couple of years like me, this is the best time of year to reconnect and just say you care. How are things going? It's been a while since we talked. I was thinking about you. I was thinking about how things are going. And just for instance, yesterday, while making my calls and communicating via text message, so I'm going to get into that so it's more purposeful. When I was making my calls, out of the blue, someone that I hadn't talked to in 5 years gave me a call and needs some help finding investment property. We had probably a 30-minute chat, asking how he was doing, what was going on, asking about each other's lives. And it was really kind of cool because it turned into an organic situation where he needed to find another investment property. I didn't call him, he called me. However, the actions that you choose on a daily basis will cause you to thrive. Business will come because of the actions that you have done. And Holly, I know I will get to your call about agent attraction, and here it is. During this time of the year is a great time to be the best co-broke in the universe. Everybody is stressed during this time of year. The most success comes from those care calls. Cares to the people that you're working with. Those aren't cold calls. Those are warm calls. So let's change the way that we're thinking about whether it's a cold call or a warm call. Pour into them. We're all out there. We're dealing with all of our sellers, all of our buyers. We're dealing with the normal everyday business. Isn't it sometimes nice, whether that co-broke has done everything perfectly or not, look for the positive, make an extra phone call or a text message to that co-broke agent and say, hey, by the way, I really appreciated this. Because you know what? How many times, and there's only a few of y'all that have your cameras on, like 5. How many times have you been called by a cooperating agent and they said, thank you? What would that mean to you if you said thank you to them? Because you know how it would make you feel. So flip that. Same thing. Attraction calls is the same thing as warm calls to our sphere of influence and the people who love us, trust us, and appreciate us, whether they've done business with us or not. Just call and say thank you for one thing, or fall on your sword and say, you know what? I have done a terrible job staying in touch. I had you on my mind. Just wanted to give you a quick call to say that I care. Then you're not making cold calls, you're making warm calls. You want to create more warm calls? Send out holiday cards. And then you call them and you say, hey, did you get the thing? That's a warm call. That's not a cold call. Just call people and tell them that you care. The business will come organically. I promise you. I know you're blowing up the chat and I can't read the chat. So Tiffany, that since you're back on, you can do that part.
Yep.
So I hope that I have possibly covered the mindset of cold calls and warm calls. Turn all of your calls into warm calls. I know that there was something about business to business and asking them for their client list. Okay. So here's what's so cool. When you're cooperating with another little small business, I like to shop local. So I'm going to use local as a for instance. Okay. There is a local new restaurant that I absolutely adore here in town. First thing I did is I wanted to speak to the owner. I wanted to speak to the manager. I wanted to give them my feedback on what a great venue it was. Whether it was terrible service, I didn't focus on what was terrible. I focused on what was great. Okay. Because not every restaurant has everything perfect, just to let you know. I gave them a great Google review and then got back in touch with them. They have a little oyster bar. They have, they're growing and, so we're like posting things online, and they allowed me to co-op with them to do a charity event. And we're doing it next year. So they wanted me to invite the people that they have in their database, right? Well, how does a restaurant have a database? Does anybody know? Does anybody know the restaurant's database?
Don't they ask for their email and sometimes their number?
Sometimes they do.
Like
Or
rewards
their reward
and
points
stuff.
or whatever.
So this is what's so cool. When you have a restaurant that uses a POS system and a point of sale system at the table, and people want their receipt emailed to them, there's a database attached to it. So this restaurant owner didn't know about that. And I said, well, let me do this. Let me help you boost your business. And I will send this out to everybody and get it started. Well, he didn't mind, because I'm just doing his work for him, because he doesn't have enough staff right now. He's a major pulmonary surgeon in town. He doesn't have time to run his restaurant. So it's finding those niches where you can care for people to help them. Tony, thank you for having your camera on. I appreciate you this morning, buddy. And I know that the chat is also blowing up. So I'm going to take a second. Who wants to pipe in and how they change their mindset from cold calls to warm calls and actually picking up the phone and making the call?
Oh,
Claire,
Tony
good
is
morning.
muted.
Go ahead, Tony.
So first off, I love listening the way you do business. It seems so easy for you. And the main reason that is because of these warm calls, making those relationships as you speak to people. As Claire was saying, if it's attraction or talking to your database, or as I call it, my top 50, because these are the people that you should be contacting every month, make that a friendly call. How are you? How have you been? How's your business? How's the restaurant? Things like that, coming from a place of contribution. But I love what you said, making every call a warm call. And I try to do that as much as possible. And sometimes, I go right to the product or what they're calling about, because I'm in a hurry, which is not really what you want to do. You really want to figure out who they are and why they're doing what they're doing before you try to construct a way to serve them or something to sell them. So I love how you said that. Make every call a warm call. Get to know that person. One thing I like to say is when that phone rings, try to make a friend. try to make a connection, and you never know where that connection is going to go. So what you're saying is just reminding me of what I know, but sometimes I forget to actually do on a daily basis because of whatever reason.
Say that again, Tony.
I said what you said was exactly what I know to do, and I actually train to do that, but I forget to do it on a daily basis because sometimes you just get too busy to take the time to get to know the other person. Just the easy way to remember is when the phone rings, try to create a friendship, a connection, and sometimes that connection is going to end at that phone call. And then other times, I went out to the listing yesterday, Claire. Lady by the name of Terry Green. She's in my top 50. There's 11 family members and friends in my top 50 from this one group of people. And I've only known them for 3 years. The guy, Paul Young, is the first person that called me. And everyone I've known in 22 years, this one family, it's just ridiculous, the connection I have. I really got to know Paul. If I wouldn't have taken time to do that, there's literally 11 referral sources I wouldn't have right now. And there's times that I don't do it. Like yesterday was a really busy day, and I had calls from agents, and it was like, all right, great. Text over what you're looking for rather than taking the time to make that connection. And sometimes you may not be able to make that connection on that call because of time constraints or whatever that may be. But take time, put it right in your schedule. Hey, give Claire a call back this afternoon. Thanking her for showing the property and really get to know her. Because you may not be able to do it right then, but if you have the system built on each and every person you talk to really get to know them, you can put it in your schedule for later that day or the next day or on the follow-up call for the feedback of the property. Guys, this really works with attraction into our company. If you're trying to build a team or a organization within the company, it really works for referrals from customers. But in addition, there's probably 9 out of 10 agents you talk to will never end up coming to work with this company, probably. But man, when they have a listing a year from now, 2 years from now, 6 months from now, and you really had that great conversation, you got to know Claire, you give Claire a call back, say, Claire, Tony DeFalco, eXp Realty, man, remember speaking to me last year about 123 Elm Street. Also, every time I save an agent, I save them as the property I spoke to them about and the date, the month and year that I spoke to them. So I'll call Claire and say, hey, Claire, remember last November, I spoke to you about 123 Elm Street that you had listed? And that was a great listing. Hey, by the way, my customer's really interested in your property you just listed. How's that listing going? They're going to be so impressed that you remembered them. Claire, would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely, Tony. And this is what's so amazing is that you actually solved a solution that you identified as an obstacle, because I don't say problem. So you had said, I was so busy. However, you had systems in place so that you could call that person back and say, you know what, I was a bit busy yesterday. And, so I think that that's empowerment. So I know that Ruth Valdez had her hand up. So Ruth, go ahead.
One thing about cold calling with people that, definitely you don't know anything about. One way I know that people don't like doing it because of the horrible, but I would prep myself to cold call is I would watch a lot of videos that like YouTube videos that would tell you just do it. Don't waste time trying to get me all like amped up to do it, because in reality, like cold calling, like the beginning phase of it really sucks. So you don't like to get that rejection. But I mean, the way it works for me is I would do the videos sometimes and then I'll start the cold calling. I mean, I would, stutter, mess up with my words, but at the end of the day, for me, it worked. And one of the people was really happy that I was able to call them, follow up with them. And then now that person, I told her that I was doing a quick CMA and I would talk to them. I called them again and she's like, okay, I think I'm going to sell it. And he told me that his birthday is on the 23rd of December. So now that I got more personal with him, I'm going to send him something small very small for his birthday to show that we care, that I care, that I care, and that, like I'm thinking of him, and it's not just just a realtor relationship. But just the thought of cold calling, it doesn't feel great. So if it's somebody that has the issues with doing it itself, I would just watch some videos to kind of like pump you up and do it and just put yourself out there. And then, you will take off after that point.
I agree, Ruth. That's real powerful. So in a show of hands, how many of y'all have over 1,000 people in your phone? Okay. That's 1,000 warm calls. What is the return on investment of our SOI? And if you would like to thrive, because it's a choice in 2023, what's the hardest thing to do? So if we as individuals just make a care call, just to say, hey, I had you on my mind, which means we're doing our business. Holly, that's so cute. She has 380 people in her phone. Somebody do the math. Times 380 times 6.7%, which equals how many transactions? I know, Holly, I'm calling you out. I apologize. However, if you put 380,
25.
25 transactions in your phone right now, 25 transactions in your phone right now. Now times that by your average commission rate.
Yeah, but most of them are probably losers, so I don't know.
Hey, even losers can become winners when they're working with the right person, Holly, and you're a winner. So I choose to look at the positive and not the negative. Here's the thing. I'm going to be vulnerable to y'all. Okay. I'm in the process of onboarding with a company called Agent Hub 360. And actually next Tuesday, one of the co-owners is going to be talking to us about tech stacking and how we can do it at a higher rate. Long story. Anyway, I have turned over my database to them because they're scrubbing it. Okay. 6,780 is in my database. Liz knows this, that the majority of those people are very, very old leads that don't know me, have never used me or our group in any sense. So I scrubbed it down to, they scrubbed it down to sphere of influence, past clients, realtors, and vendors, just 3 lists so that I could get through it a little easier. Now, let me just tell you something. Here's my vulnerable spot. In updating all of the information from past clients from 2021 to the end of 2022, I lost $100,000 plus in opportunity. They used other realtors to handle their business. Let me say that again. These were people in my phone that were past clients who used our group. They chose to choose somebody else. Why? Because I didn't pick up the phone and stay top of mind to them. Because I didn't show that I cared. What could you do with an extra $100,000? Because that's in my world, in my world, that's somewhere between 7 and 9 transactions. Okay. I say this to say we all aren't perfect and to say that 2023, we can thrive because we can make care calls. Now, I also place myself in a position in grit to do a 30 hard. Well, through that 30 hard, we have 8 new things in the pipeline, which made up for me not staying in touch with people, because in doing a 30 hard, you make phone calls to your sphere, to your past clients. So it's really kind of cool. I had to find something to put me into action to show the people that I care for them, because I do care for them. I don't care that they use somebody else. I actually called their agents and said, thank you. Thank you for taking care of them while I couldn't. because I reconnected with them and congratulated them. It wasn't a hard call. It was like, you know what? I didn't stay in touch and you used a great agent. Congratulations on the new house. I sent them out a card congratulating them, even though it had been 6 or 9 months, because that is the way I choose to do business. You know what came out of it? 2 referrals, 1 buyer, and a listing, just because I fell on my sword to say I didn't stay in touch. How interesting. So when we're calling the people in our phone, those are not cold calls. Those are warm calls. They may not even recognize who the number is. Hey, I had you in my phone. We hadn't spoken a while. Just wanted to check on you to see how things were going. It's your business, any business. Yes, it's the admin part and it's the business part. However, if you're too busy with too many transactions that you can't make at least 5 phone calls to the people in your phone to say, I care for you, your 2023 may not be as strong as what it could be. Because here's the truth. All of us on this call need an extra 20, 30% of revenue in our 2023. Why? Because the market's down that much. So if we need to make sure that we're decreasing that gap in the market, then that means I need to make sure that I'm doing the actions that it takes so that that revenue doesn't go down just like the market. I have to ramp up my routine, my care calls, in order to fill that gap. If not, I might not be able to make a mortgage payment, might not be able to make my marketing payment, might not be able to make any decisions as to the things in my business that keep my business running, right? It's just crazy. So if I need an extra 20 to 30%, isn't it already in our phone? If return on investment for our SOI is somewhere like 40%, so I've closed that gap. I've closed the gap completely.
Claire, you were talking about how many contacts are in your phone. Most people have a couple hundred minimum. And guys, if you don't have a few hundred or thousands, I think I put in mine 4,500 contacts. I literally save everyone that I speak to, everyone, always. And when they call me, Ron, how are you? They're like, oh, you remember me. It's amazing. But I'm going to say this. It's such an easy thing to remember. We do not have a lead problem. Every agent I sit with says, I need leads. No, you don't. We have a communication dilemma. You're not taking the time to communicate with people you know, like, and trust. Now, funnel it down to the people that love you, that you know would refer you and would be a walking advocate. They create your bullseye, and they're the people you pay attention to on a monthly basis. But on a quarterly, semi-annual, annual basis, just calling saying, Claire, how are you? I was passing by Canyon Lakes and I thought of you. How have you been? It's such an easy phone call. And guess what they're going to ask you? How have you been? And normally, if they know you're in real estate, they're going to say, how are you doing in this market? Well, you know, this is what I found, blah, blah, blah. But referrals from friends and family have really helped me stay on top of the market. You know, I haven't, wow, you'll be amazed with what comes out of it. Or it doesn't even matter, but just saying hello keeps you. There's an agent, I'm going to say one last thing, and I'll promise I'm going to stop. There's an agent that does about 50 luxury sales a year. And I called David and I said, David, how do I break into the luxury market? I've always sold the 300 to 500,000. How do I get over the 1 million mark? He said, any market you want to work, you almost have to think like you're an octopus. You have to touch them 8 different ways. You need to be advertising, mailing them happy anniversary of ownership of their property, calling them, saying hello, and you don't know which of the 8 ways is going to touch them and remind them of you when they need to buy or sell real estate. And half of them are going to forget you, but the other half will make you rich. And guys, this warm call is the easiest part of it all. It's not, it's free. Mailing every month costs money. Advertising on the internet costs money. And as Claire was saying, the return on investment on these calls are so much higher than someone you don't know. If you're not implementing this in your business, you are stealing from your family. And I'll leave it as that. Sorry, Claire.
You don't have to apologize, Tony, because that's the way you do business, is you do feel like you're stealing from your family. So I see the beautiful Liz Quinones. Okay, let me just tell you something. This little mama blows me away in the way that she has in going in new markets in less than 5 years. Every market she places herself in, she thrives because of the calls she makes, because of the text message, because of communication, because of everything that she does. And it doesn't matter if the majority of her sphere is in Philly or Jacksonville or Orlando or Tampa or Miami or wherever. Liz has a dynamic way of being able to pick up the phone to say, hey, had you on my mind, and this is what I need from you. Who do you know that I need to help right now? Because she is not afraid of business. She is not afraid to put herself out there as to she is a real estate consultant and she is the person who can solve their dilemmas. So Liz, tell us about your call experiences.
Hey guys, I miss you all. I love your faces. Honestly, guys, it's just don't be afraid to make the calls. Like the people that, the people that love and trust you, they want to hear from you. At first, when I started doing them, I had the mindset of, hey, I don't want to bother people. They're working or I don't want to bother them. And once you flip the mindset, and it's just like, guys, just make the call. I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter. I would rather talk to somebody and bother them now because tomorrow isn't promised. Just side story. And this is where my mindset shift. My best friend committed suicide and when I was in college. So it was a really, really dark time for me. And one of the last things that I said to him, I regret. So I don't ever want my people to go through and not know that I care for them. So that kind of switched the mindset for me. It's just like, make the calls, do what you got to do. And I'm telling you, people are willing to help you. I can tell you guys right now, if you know my husband, he is like my biggest cheerleader and he does really all the work for me. He sits there, he's the one promoting me all of the time. So it just makes it a lot easier. So when my husband's the one kind of like poking the bear for me and just having the conversations and putting my name out there. So when I'm touching base with these people, they're like, oh yeah, I was just talking to Jose and he was talking about how amazing you are. Guys, something that Tony was saying is make sure you have that top 50 or the people who you're raving fans, because they're going to do the work for you guys. It's really and truthfully, it's not hard. We are overthinking it, but I can tell you, when you shift the mindset on making these care calls, you're going to be just fine. I hope that helped.
Thanks, Liz. And I see that we have Chris Dove and Jessica Baskey's on, who literally, Chris, can I use you as an example? Okay, she's shaking her head. I just wanted to say this because she said it on our calls before. And this is one thing she admits too, that she's an introvert. She wasn't a people person, that wasn't easy. So she built her business in a different way. And this is what I think is so dynamic about our group and sharing the ways and means that we can get where we need to get for our business goals and still stay in touch with people. She has a different avenue. She uses social media. She does it at a high level. Her and Jessica both, they blow me away. And let me just tell you, they blow everyone in their areas away. I was speaking to an owner of a company yesterday and said, if you're not using Chris Dove in your area, you're an idiot. Literally, I said that. And he was a lender. And he was like, what? And I'm like, this is what we do. So Chris, tell me what your calls or what your contacts and keeping in touch with your people looks like today, and what is your system that you use?
So I unpopular, am not a caller or a cold caller. I'm introverted. I don't know what to say. And it's really bad. Like I care about the individual, but I don't conversation start. I'm not a small talker. So what I do is I use my social media to love on them for their birthdays. You get a notification every morning as soon as you open your phone whose birthday it is. So if I have time throughout the day, I call, text, send gift cards, whatever I can do to like celebrate them in that moment. That's simple. My other clients, like if you just comment and love on their posts, they need that on their socials just as much as you need it on your socials. So that goes a long way. One of my top secrets that I'm going to release, I've never told anybody. I always go to events. I always take pictures of people I meet. I follow up with them by sending them that picture or tagging them on social. And that goes a long way because you at events, you meet so many different people. And the only way that they're going to remember you is by having that face and picture with them. So I don't know if that helps, but I don't do cold calls. I'm such a gift giver. I spend so much money giving gifts, but like I only work with people that I care about. So it kind of works for me that way. They're like family. I treat them like family, and that's how I operate.
So Chris, you touched on something that I think is very powerful. You work with people, not strangers, people who love you and trust you. And just out of curiosity, number one, how long have you been in business? And number two, where will you finish out 2022?
2 years in business, and I'm trying really hard to finish at north of 10 million. I'm trying, like you guys can see my eyes. I'm trying very hard.
Okay, so let me just say this, Chris, and you know a little bit about me. There is no try, there is only do. And you are doing what it takes to reach and exceed your goal, period, end of story. So just for everybody on the call that didn't hear it, 2 years in the business, will complete her 2022 year in excess of 10 million. When did you cap?
I've not capped yet, but I think I'm at like 92% or something ridiculous, but I've got
She
3 big
is.
commercial listings coming up. So
Chris
I'm
is
just doing
so
like
close
market
to
research on them
capping.
now.
Well, that's what I was getting at. And here's what it boils down to. Okay. She found her pathway, her way to stay in touch with the people whom love her and she loves on them because of the personality that she is and the behavioral style. So please find what's you and do it at a higher level. Not do it the best, not do it perfect, because here's the thing. If you strive for perfection, you get progress. And there is not one single person, including myself on this call, that is perfect at making calls. Not one, because there's only been one perfect person. One, just in my book. And that's my way of thinking. Just not pushing that on anybody. And you find your way, whether it's loving on your people with a text message or social media or picking up the call just to say hello. This is what I choose to do. When I've had a phone call, because I do like to gab, when I have a phone call, I get off that phone call, I follow it up with a text message because this is my way of thinking, because I have to keep it in my notes, because at that time, if I'm actually on the road making my calls, I have to have a way where I can do this. So I dictate a text. Thank you for our call. I'm so glad that we followed up on ABC. Thanks so much. Love you. Have a great day. That text message, when I get back to my computer, goes into my CRM and also is a memory jogger for me to put that in my notes. So I've made the call, check the box. Added to my notes, check the box. Added to my database, check the box. Scrub the database, check the box, because somebody had asked what's scrubbing the database, putting more information in my database so my database works for me. So at any given point in time, if I pull up that person, I know what's going on real time in their life. Okay, that's scrubbing the database to me. Okay, some people think scrubbing the database is removing people from the database. Don't remove people, archive them. Don't ever delete people, even deceased people, because there is a connection in your database with the other people that possibly are from that deceased person. So that short story, just saying. Okay, so Simon, you got your hand up. Go ahead, buddy.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Tony. How are you? No, this chat today is really good. I appreciate what you guys are doing. I know it's hard to call people. I called an ex-client of mine just to see how he's doing with his camera system. So I said, hey, his name is Frank. I said, hey, Frank, are we gonna do the cameras at your new house that you got in Stewart? He's like, well, we decided that we're not gonna move in there anymore. I said, but you just spent like $4 million or $3 million on that house, and you're gonna live there now? He's like, no, my wife wants to stay where we are, and so we put the house up for sale. Oh, that's good. I said, I do really too now, and you know, if there's anything I could do to help you. It's like, yeah, no, that's cool. I wish I knew before, because I know you for 9 years. I said, well, Frank, how many? What's the term with that agent? He's like, well, it's like four months or 5 months. I said, okay. I said, so it's a horse. It's a horse. Like, you got a horse. Like, yeah. So what are they doing to market that? Because it's a niche development. It's like, I'm not sure. I said, Frank, you need to sell this house. So then I'm going to show you some ways. You know, let's get your house posted on social media in Kentucky, in Tennessee, in West Virginia. He's like, why? So those are the horse people that wants to come down here. Is your agent not doing that? It's like, no, I don't think so. I said, well, that's what you need to do. He's like, well, I don't know what to do with that. I said, Frank, well, if you want to put a budget together, I'll help you on social media. He's like, yeah, okay. How much do you think we need? I said, I don't know. Let's just start with $2,000 and start social media over there, and for them to get your house known. And guess what? When I do this social media, it's not going to be like call Frank. It's going to be call him on, call Simon with EXP, driven to my page as a squeeze page, and have him pay for it. Because I'll take that 2.5% of finding a buyer. But in his eyes, it looks like I just did him a huge favor that his agent wasn't doing. So he's like, well, listen, my cousin is looking for something. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow for you. I said, okay, perfect. And you know, so you never know what the call might lead to. That's my take on it.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. That is a good way of making sure you can bring buyers to that person to get them to their goal. And that's just coming from contribution. I love it. I love it. So there were, let's see, did I miss anything in the chat, Tiffany or Deep or Liz? Did I miss anything? Who else? Pam, you have been so silent this morning. Come off mute. Tell us about yourself.
Hey there. So I'm over here working a little bit while I listen. I'm doing a fundraiser. I was going to be alone on Christmas, so I'm just doing a thing for the homeless people. I'm collecting coats, backpacks, blankets, gently used everything. I've got 4 locations where I have a tote. And so I've done a couple of lives with, I did a live, Facebook Live with a mortgage lender and one with a title company. And so I'm just kind of trying to promote that. I'm offering 10% of anything that goes under contract in December towards this homeless program. So my friend gave me some calendars for my birthday. So kind of what I'm doing right now is I'm putting my business card. It's a refrigerator magnet calendar. I'm attaching my business card and I'm printing up some flyers about the thing. So I'm going to go to some businesses and ask them if I can post my flyer about the fundraiser, see if I can put a magnet on their fridge in their break room, and just kind of see what happens with the fundraiser with my business. But he was talking about a program I downloaded, Leap. It's a video editor, Leap, Deep Leap, I forget. And he was talking about if you kind of connect with the small business, then you kind of have their client database. So I did my live and I was kind of going to connect with these businesses, but I didn't know how you kind of connect with their database. Once you do your live, then it's kind of gone. So I was trying to think next steps with that.
I think that's great, and we'll dig deeper in that, Pam. You said something that was very powerful, is that you're reaching out to your community, to your homeless people. So let me ask a question. Have you called your sphere of influence to get them to help you with this? Because that is a huge warm call, because people during this time of year, Deep can attest to this for his sphere of influence, that he reached out to them to do toy stuff and food stuff. And I kid you not, when we reach out to our people to say, hey, this is what I'm doing for our local community, would you like to contribute? Now, Deep's a little stronger, that says, I'm going to stop by and pick up the toys, or you can Venmo me the money and I'll go get it for you. He has different vernacular with his people, because they're used to his vernacular.
Mhm.
I use a different strategy when I do stuff like that. So that is a huge warm call when you are getting yourself involved in your community. Huge, huge, huge. Reach out to the people in your phone, your sphere of influence, to say, hey, I am taking on this. Would you like to help? I'll be more than happy. Here's the drop-offs. Here's this, or I can stop by. They're getting to see you face to face. That is huge.
Okay.
Pam, that
That's
is gold
perfect.
mine.
Thank you. So, and then say, by the way, who do you know that's buying or selling, or?
I don't during this time of year at all. I just care on my people this time of year. And
Okay.
and really and truthfully, Liz is shaking her head. She hears my phone calls. She knew my phone calls. I never asked for business on my phone calls. Never had to.
But
I just let them know.
since I'm donating the 10%, it's okay to mention that, right?
Yes,
And by the
absolutely.
way, anything that goes under contract in December, I'm donating 10%.
Yep,
Can
absolutely.
I say something really quick about the business calls, guys?
Yep.
Like when you're doing these, and I just want to be very, very transparent, and I think everyone on the calls that do this at a high level will understand that when you're doing these care calls, you are not asking for business in any way, shape, or form. You don't want to do that. You want to pour love on the people that you love and trust. But I will tell you, the business calls will pop up. Like they will try, if someone is in the business or in the market for a home or something like that, let them be the one to initiate that conversation. But then you stop them and say, hey, I want to talk to you. Like, this is just, I'm reaching out to say hello. Let's schedule another call so that we can touch base on what you need to, on what you're looking for as far as real estate. It's okay. Sometimes we get caught up and we're like, oh crap, you need help buying a house, or you need a listing appointment. I got you. I'll be there. No, make sure that they know that you're not poaching for business. You are just really showering them with love and appreciation. And then what you were talking about with the 10%, absolutely. This is the time where people want to get involved. They want to help, but guess what? They don't know how. They really and truthfully don't know how. So if you're working with a homeless with the homeless organization, and you're going to be donating 10% of that, they're going to be like, oh my God, is there something that I can do? How can I contribute? Like Deep does this toy drive, and it has just grown exponentially over the past few years. Guys, if your people want to get involved and don't know how, just be the connector. Even if you're not affiliated with an organization specifically, you guys know someone who is, connect them, and trust me, they will be so ecstatic and they will appreciate you more. That's just my take on it.
Absolutely. So when we're talking about care calls, you're just pouring into their lives to say that you care. It's not about, oh, by the way, do you have a referral? Those portions of the conversation come organically, and Liz just hit a secret sauce. If your phone call leads to an organic lead, say, I appreciate that. What's a better time where we can discuss your needs? I just wanted to pour into your life today. Because that also absolutely draws a line in the sand that you didn't call for business, that you called because you cared. And then the business hat goes on, and the business lady or man comes out, and there you go. Then you have your hat, and you are prepared for that phone call. So I think that that's huge, that Liz just hit the secret sauce right there. When you're making your care calls and it organically comes about business, make an appointment, set the appointment, be it a phone call, be it a Zoom call, be it whatever. So that way they know that you truly called because you cared. I will tell you right now, during these times, I have been through many shifts. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Old adage still holds true. And in 2023, you want to be free. Free to do you, free to do your business. And if you want to be free in 2023, it better not be about me. It's about the we. And that's about your care calls. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Go ahead, Deep.
I like your soapbox. Pam, going back to your conversation, going back to you, and trust me when I say this, I've been doing this for like almost 5 years, doing this toy drive for foster care in the local, my area. And as it's grown and it's got bigger and bigger, people look forward to me contacting them this time of the year. It's weird, like, and some of the people only, that's only text they've got from me all year round. So I can see the old text and the new text. And when you have these deep conversations with them, hey, when can I pick it up? This, that, how are things? How is family? The conversation about business is gonna get there. You will have some interaction, some conversation with them. They're not just gonna say, oh, okay, and just get off the call. You've made a very valuable call. You're doing a valuable charity thing out of your own, time and effort. So they already feeling nice and fuzzy and warm. So they're gonna ask you nice and fuzzy, how are things with you, Pam? How's business? I know the market has shifted. At that time, you can take exactly what Liz said. You know what, this was more about this, and I'm really excited about this, but why don't I do this? We'd set up a time next week to have a conversation, or next day. I don't want to take too much of your time. It really, and going back to what you said about businesses, when you did Facebook Live, or I don't know how you did it. I don't do Facebook Live. I'm scared of Facebook Live. I'm scared of anything live besides Zoom Live. Gonna be honest. People think I do this every time. I don't. I think when you download the video, when you finish the call, when you finish the live, there's a way you can save it on your Facebook. I think Liz, please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you know, Instagram does that, because me and Liz do a lot of times Instagram, and then it saves it and we tag each other. So in that case, when you have that video that's finished after you were in the business, talked about the business, did a little video, when you download it, I think Facebook should give you access to a download on your post, and then you can tag them as the actual place. So now what happens, you've tagged them as a place, and if you know somebody there, they're friends with you on Facebook, tag them also. Now that video becomes their people's video. So instead of only going after whatever eyeballs you have on your Facebook account, it goes, now it kind of, Facebook pushes on their eyeballs that they were not part of your follower. Now they see, oh, who's this Pam person is? Oh, wow, she's doing a great job. She's promoting one of her friends. Now it becomes more conversation piece on your part. And then that's your followers gonna go from there.
Thank you, Deep. That finishes
Thank you.
out pretty good. So we've got less than a minute before after party and the recording goes off. I want to encourage you. How many, with a show of hands, have to make cold calls today? Okay, Keith Deep's got to make cold calls. You want to know the best way to make a cold call? Make 5 warm calls first. Who's committed to make 5 warm calls today? I am. Are you? I appreciate y'all and everything. And Tiffany, thank you for the opportunity for us to come together in the kitchen instead of the living room, where we could dig deep and be vulnerable and help each other in the ways that we can make warm calls, care calls.
Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the recording now.